Hey guys, welcome to the 100th episode of the Dave DY Show. Oh, well done. Thank you all. 100 episodes. I've actually got more than 100 episodes, but this is the 100th numbered episode. And in this episode, we're gonna get real serious. My 14-year-old is using marijuana. Now what? This question is being posed and has been posed around this country, around this globe, forever. It was a problem when I was in school. It was a problem when my older siblings were in school. When my parents, my father who was born in 33 is now deceased, 29 is now deceased. My mother who was born in 1933 is in her mid-80s. Were growing up, they were smoking and drinking. It progressed to the recreational drugs that we have now, which also are prescription or illegal substance 1 abuse drug or a substance 4 drug. Marijuana is a level 1 substance, so it's highly regulated, much like heroin, and it probably shouldn't be, but all that's irrelevant. My 14-year-old is using marijuana. Now what do I do? And when I say using marijuana, we used to just smoke marijuana, but now marijuana comes in oils, it comes in edibles, it comes in creams, it comes in everything. You can smoke the plant, you can smoke the oil, you can ingest it, you can eat it, you can rub it on you, you can do all kinds of stuff, which pretty much makes detection impossible. But the telltale signs of THC, high marijuana use, are the same. Marijuana's gotten much stronger. It has become industrialized. How much stronger, we don't know. The marijuana of old we think was 12, 10, maybe 15% THC, maybe less, especially if it was grown in a backyard, your skunk weed. Nowadays, through the mass production, the industrialization, the mass growth of marijuana, and I've talked about this in prior episodes, the sativa, right? Whatever type of growth it is, or your hemp, which has no marijuana THC levels in it. It is CBD. It is the cannabis plant without the marijuana buds, right? You have strains now that are 20 to 30% THC level. Very high. Much higher than they were. That's a third. A third of that plant that you're smoking has marijuana THC that you're ingesting at a very high concentration. And it's going to continue. It is what it is. It's legal. Okay, let's start the other way. It's not legal in 17 states. In 33 other whatever states, it's some way, shape, or form legal for medical use, for recreational use, for both, right? There's something like 22 or 23 states where it's broadly used. There's something like 10 or 11 states where it's recreationally approved and used. This is at a state level. Across the board federally, marijuana is still illegal. Here in Florida, CBD sales is illegal, yet it's broadly sold. You can go to farmers markets and there are booths set up selling CBD products, ingestibles, edibles, salves, smokables, oils, everything, just like the THC, the other side of marijuana, the side that gets you high, the psychotropic, the one that gives you the psychedelic experience, whatever, right? My 14-year-old is using marijuana. Now what? I noticed the use for about a year now. It started at maybe 13. I'll get into statistics about how the average age of youth has moved lower for marijuana use. It used to be 14 to 16. The average age in a 2014 study was something like 16 for the first use. There's studies out that say 11 to 13 now. Well, my 14-year-old has been using it for maybe a year. It's very likely that the use has come in the form of vaping, the new smoking, with THC oil, which is quite easy to attain. One of the critical aspects for youth use in marijuana is availability. And when I say availability, is it in your neighborhood? Do the kids know where to get it? Do they have the means to get it? The money? Can they buy it? Do they have the attitude to get it? Are they not afraid of approaching some other user? Meaning, do they know that person? Do they know a person that knows a person? And nowadays, it's really, really easy to have all of that. We're the wealthiest we've ever been. Marijuana is accepted pretty much across the U.S. It's culturally not dillified, it's culturally objectified in rappers, in current sports stars. It's talked about mainstream everywhere. It's still debated. Is it or isn't it a gateway drug? Is it or isn't it harmful? Is it or isn't it something that should just be legalized everywhere? Will the federal government do that? Will Donald Trump do that? Did Obama do that? Why has it been such an issue? People that are Hollywood stars, that are sports stars, that are media stars talk about it all the time. Dr. Sanjay Gupta on one of the major networks talks about marijuana use. All that said, a minor is a minor. Someone under the age of 16, they're still developing. Those discussions go away because any drug that we legally have right now, including prescription, alcohol, whatever, it's not accepted to be used by those children. Never, unless parentally granted. And in some instances, not even then. Yet, my 14-year-old will tell you, their friends, they smoke. The parents of the friends, some of them smoke in the household. It's accepted. Where does so-and-so, Jimmy, get the marijuana? From Jimmy's mom and dad. It's smoked in the house. It was smoked in the house when I was over there. What? That's the culture. That's the country. That's the world we're in right now. And it probably will become progressively more liberal, meaning it will expand even further. My 14-year-old is using marijuana. Now what? There'd better be an alarm. There's likely an impact to the 14-year-old's life. I saw it. I saw the group that walked in here stoned. Eyes all, chill, wanted to eat lots of food. I saw it. My wife and I, we tried to manage some aspects of this. There were instances at school. School grades suffered. There was sleeping in the middle of the day. There was lethargy. There was a big portion of no longer family interaction. I want to be alone in my room. I want to go see my friends. I'm going outside now for a moment. I'm going to go up to the gym. I'm going to go to the tiki. I'm going to go for a bike ride. Every warning sign that you've ever thought or imagined, if you're a parent and you're paying attention, is there. It always will be. It is our choice to see those and to understand those and to interpret them and then to act or not act, ignore. And if ignorance is the path, there will be consequences. The consequences have arisen at school, where my 14-year-old was caught with THC oil and now has to go through a drug, substance abuse, and alcohol abuse program there. 8 weeks, an hour a week, has to take some 2-hour class and a test, is now on the watch list, sitting with an individual who is in charge of this type of activity there. The questions that I brought up were why? What's going on? It is a group of friends. That was what was brought to my attention. How many kids go to your lunch? 430, 450 out of 3 lunches. A class, an 8th grade class of 1,300 students. Or no, a school of 1,300 students. An 8th grade class of whatever. A lunch period of 450. 25 miscreants causing problem. The urban legend, the very generalistic statements, it's everywhere, all the kids. That is not the case. Many parents parent. Many children know better. My 14-year-old, with the individuals that were being sought after, hanging around with the total dislike, disdain, hate for school, though very intelligent. And when asked, well, what are your grades? The biggest trouble tell sign. The biggest sign of a problem. 2 A's, 2 B's, 2 C's. Why? Because my wife and I pressure. What are your grades doing? Stay on top of your grades. Yet we did not pressure. Are you smoking? What are you doing? And there were multiple instances. We've now hit a point where we have to intervene. That is our view. We probably should have intervened earlier. However, we are liberal in the way we raise our children. We've given them all the rope they need to hang themselves. Now there's no more cell phone. Now there's no more unsupervised interaction. Now there's no more money in an account that can be spent liberally on food, on entertainment, on video games. Everything goes away. You have house arrest in this house. And the initial reaction from my 14-year-old was end of days. It was the end of our times. My life is over. And that has gradually subsided to an alert child that's interacting. Angry. The initial statements were made. This is stupid. You're stupid. Everyone smokes pot. It's accepted. Parents, people that are smart, successful, powerful, read the studies. There's no harm. You can't die from it. Everything that you've ever heard. And yet in the developing mind of a 14, 13, 12, 11-year-old, 16, 18, 20, 22, 25-year-old, the human brain has the potential to continue to develop synapses, storage, wiring, firing, knowledge, ability, learning your whole life, but actually continues to grow up through maybe 25. Excuse me. That drug, through Duke studies and other studies, at an early age, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, has been shown to impact those processes. Diminish, disable, destroy. Behavioral, anger, social, emotional, coping, learning, skills, capabilities, storage, retention, memory, personality. All those things are impacted through early age marijuana use. It's known, it's shown. I have experienced this personally with my brother growing up. I have experienced this personally with other friends and other associates and their siblings or them directly. I've seen it. I've seen the psychosis and the destruction of the brain, the personality, even the physical traits, shaking, lack of memory, disorientation, fatigue, behavioral and emotional moods and changes and giant ups and downs, dementia, depression, directly related to that drug and potentially other drug use. Again, my 14-year-old is using marijuana. Now what do? The confrontation occurred, the gnashing of teeth, the disapproval. but we ratcheted that individual's life back into our total control. We parented. We have been for weeks now. And things are still suffering in some respects. Other things are much more successful. An alert, a laughing, a happy child that talks, that isn't distant, removed, wants to go out with friends, has other agenda, doesn't even interact or interface with their family, which is natural as 14, 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds grow up and they become interested in their own friends, their own life, their own bubble. But with marijuana use, it becomes weird. The child is seeking impairment. It is no longer normal human function. They will seek impairment. And when they do that on a continual basis, daily or weekly, long-term damage is done. And the ceasing to smoke or ingest or use marijuana, THC, does not reverse that long-term damage, like smoking, where your lungs clear. This has a much more pivotal impact in a developing brain and a developing adult. There's studies that may contest that. The Duke University study points this out. And again, it will continue to be ongoing, but we've seen it. We've experienced kids and adults that are heavy marijuana users. Some of them never progress to another drug. It's not the gateway, but it doesn't need to be. You can see the impact it's had on their life, their motivation, their skills, their desire to strive, their success, their hard work. And I've met individuals that work hard while using marijuana. Some of them maybe $500 a month, large quantities. And they have periods of lucidity, of solid intellect, of performance, of excellence. But I will tell you, those are small, and the abnormal behavioral integrals are larger. And if you spend more than a moment with that individual, you see them. The depression, the impairment, the dysfunction, the failure, the breakdown, and the impact that it has directly on myself and those around that individual. And it is always there, always. It cannot be denied. Can't be. You're lying if you deny it. And that is a coping mechanism for continued use. And that's normal, that's human. So, a very aggressive stance, taking everything away, continue to seek counseling, taking my 14-year-old down to the court system, having the judge, one of the severe judges, speak to my 14-year-old, share with my 14-year-old the real judicial, the real criminal impact of marijuana use, regardless of what it does to you and if it's accepted by Snoop Dogg, and if it's accepted by Sanjay Gupta, and if Vice has wonderful channels on cannabis use, yet flip to the next channel on Dope Sick Nation, because everybody's using it. Maybe not marijuana, heroin, crack, PCP, LSD, opioids. Yeah, dude. The statements we've made to the 14-year-old are that it's illegal, it's not accepted in this house, and it cannot continue. And that is a fight. And it is a parental fight with us to our child. But we are calm and we're keeping the child intact. We've removed those things that allow the child to use this drug with friends, alone, what have you. There are urine tests that can be purchased at drugstores now for $20. Over the course of 10 days, that drug, THC, will leave the human system. You can then give the child a urine test to prove whether or not they have not used the drug. We've made the statement that it will be administered weekly. Every Friday, you will take a P-test to make us aware of your drug use and the lying and the cheating and the sneakery and the deception that has gone on to promote this lifestyle for our child. That's the approach we're taking, and we're doing it in a loving, a controlled, a non-demonstrative, a non-abusive, a non-yelling and screaming and gnashing, though that occurred, format. This is your new state. You are now under house arrest. And if these actions continue, you will be in a county jail under state arrest. And Judge so-and-so is going to share that with you in a court of law. Welcome to the real world, my friend. YouTube and Instagram and Snapchat and your rap friends and your social superstars and your great athletic individuals and your media moguls and anyone that you know and see out here doing it that says it's the shit, even if it's not thuggery, if it's not deception and lies, if it's not about bitches and hoes, if it's not about all the Benjamins making it rain, all the bullshit that society fucking pushes that corrupts the minds of the innocent and allows them down this broken fucking path of loss and failure and a lottery of success. We as parents have to manage that. And I as a parent was lenient and lax. And we've brought it back to reality. And our child now is starting to understand that. Begrudgingly and angrily so. Don't like it, but I know the difference between right and wrong. I know I fucked up. I know that I brought shit. No cause and effect for this child. Just doesn't get it, man. How could you bring oil to a public school? A government institute where after all this shit with school shootings, especially down here, Parkland, right? Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, whatever, where children lost their lives. No tolerance. What are your expectations, friend? So the don't get caught is gone. You didn't learn that. Now you're fuck everybody and you're just gonna roll dirty. Yeah, not anymore. We have ratcheted it back completely. And whatever the statistics say, if it's 15% by age of 16 turn into lifetime smokers if they first started to smoke, and it's based on who you know, the influence of others. If your siblings, your friends, your parents smoke or drink, smoke marijuana. If you have the availability of it, if it's easy for you to get it in the hood with your friends because you got money, because you're rich, because your parents use it. If it's popular in media because everybody I watch on my phone does it. Bibbidi, bibbidi, bubbidi, smoking and rolling and joking and fucking noise. If I have to turn on the fucking MTV Awards, whatever, and these losers are on TV glorifying marijuana use. Not on my watch. Not with my child. When you're 18 and you're a legal adult, that's your choice. And I would hope that you use the toolkit that we, your mother and I, have given you to manage good decisions in your life. Right? Abuse. Obsessive use with anything is bad. All the things we teach our children for success, for happiness. My child is a child of hard knocks. Oh well. I'm bored. I hate school. I hate you. I want to have friends. I want to do what I want. Growing, adolescence, changes. Going from grade school to high school, way more severe. The use of it, the exposure of it, everybody on the football team smokes. They're some of the heaviest drug users. Everything that you think, you better be exposed and available and ready to manage. It's there. And when you ignore or when you deny or when you cry, none of it will be addressed. You have to own it, approach it, be transparent. Speak to your child about it. Get it out in the open. Up until recently, my child would cower, hide under the blanket, not show their face. Embarrassment. If I can't, it didn't happen. I can make it go away. No, I don't have to listen to you. Part of an adolescent growing up. Yet, feel like you're an adult enough to smoke weed and roll dirty and have fun. A child turning into an adolescent, turning into an adult. Very difficult normally, right? Now with the impairment of drug use. So, a lot of things. Confidence lacking, misinformation, right? It's legal, it can't hurt you. All those things are ongoing. And whatever the fucking statistics are, any bullshit that someone that's smart quotes you. You know what, it's 15%, right? Turn into lifetime users. And it's usually based on all those factors. And I don't allow it in my house. And I know everything. And I'm Well, you better be open with your child, you better be loving, and you better be fair and honest. Demonstrative and abusive and loud and angry will not work. Maybe some children you can scare straight. It's not the right program. It never has been, it never will be. Because that child will ultimately move beyond that without your consent and will continue with the behavior pattern they have. The only thing that allows a child to change their behavior is their ability. And that's taught, and that's mentored, and that's shown by example. You can't forcibly do anything to anyone else. You can kill them, you can inject them and make them eat stuff. That doesn't change or fix or help a person. We've suggested military school to my child. No, that's not going to happen. Fucking very well may. Because I guarantee you, if you're never alone and you're in a room with other children and you're always active with other children and you're on a 24/7, 365 schedule with adults who administer all of the support, care, maintenance, the instruction, the mentoring, everything of those children, I bet you don't have time to smoke. And if you do, you're a deceptive, sneaky, smart fuck. Kudos to you. It won't be often, friend. Those are extreme cases, and we're not there yet. Because my child works hard. Worked at a surf camp with an awesome instructor and a bunch of helpers. Voluntarily last year. Did an outstanding job. 8 o'clock till 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. Great resource. Just complimented. Great with the children. Earned money this year doing that. When we work with our child for school grades, gets the grades up, A's and B's, just doesn't like it. Does not have the compulsion, isn't compelled, does well in science and math, really doesn't like language arts, really doesn't like teachers. Some of the teachers that aren't friendly and nice, that don't care, the class gets worse. Typical traits of a lot of children that you have to mentor and modify your approach to make that child successful. My 14-year-old is using marijuana now, what do? You gotta parent. You gotta own it. You have to be the one in charge with love, with parenting, with ownership and responsibility, taking the time, the effort, the energy, no one else. That's the answer, man. School, the government, friends, neighbors, family are not gonna fix it. You have to help that child understand and move the right way. That's life, that's raising children, just like we experienced when we drank and drugged and did whatever as children. And some of us got put into bad straits. Some of us became abusers. Some of us became criminals. Some of us got hurt. Car accidents, falls. Some of us died. Some of us lived on the street. Some of us graduated to severe drugs. Some of us destroyed our lives. This isn't new. It's just a lot more common and way more accepted in our liberal society. Where are you and your family at? Comment, like, subscribe, send me input, send me emails, dgdewy@gmail. My 100th episode is a serious one, and it's important that we speak about these things. Even though we do, but not really. Because we don't want kids that are users. We don't want to be troubled with problem children. That's ridiculous. Every child has problems. How do you allow your child to learn and grow and move through those problems with you? Parenting, mentoring, feeding, watering, growing that child into an adult that can manage those problems that are much bigger in their adult life when they're alone, when they're responsible, if they're responsible, if they're alone, if they're not dependent, if they have the toolkit to do so. If. Some of the fundamental problems that have plagued the United States of America and our children, from a family structure, from a fundamental raising structure, teaching, mentoring, learning. We are trying to be successful, and I'm proud of the way we're approaching it, and I'm proud of my child and how this thing has been moving forward. And I'm afraid and I'm worried, and I'm going to stay on top of this. And until that child is an adult, this will be my primary goal. With other things in my life, but my primary goal, the success of my children, the health of my children, the growth, the ongoing living and learning and loving of and with my children. And it's a hard one, but man, you don't eat this shit head on, you're doomed. So that's my 100th episode. Thanks for watching. Comment, like, subscribe, share, enjoy. Good luck. God bless. Dave DY Show, out.